This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Let's cut through the veneer of virtue signaling and expose what Harry and Meghan's latest website post really represents, which is a calculated step in their ongoing campaign to impose widespread internet censorship, all masquerading as concern for child safety. These two grifters have us looking over here with their never-ending puff pieces and backgrid opportunities, but in the background, quietly working behind the scenes to drive policy and reshape the media landscape. We've seen how Harry and Meghan's behavior shifted once Donald Trump got into office, and now they have stopped exploiting their own family dramas or their own fake family dramas for profit because the people behind them recognize how hated they are and the backlash it generates every single time, plummeting their popularity as well as affecting anyone who is associated with their shenanigans. So now what they've turned to is weaponizing genuine parental grief to advance a draconian agenda that threatens freedom of speech worldwide and erodes our First Amendment rights and Fourth Amendment privacy rights here in the U.S.
You should be here. So, thank you for doing everything that you've done. Thank you for telling your stories over and over again. Truth, justice, and accountability. Those are the three things that will come from this.
While we're all distracted by Meghan's stupid Instagram posts and obvious publicity stunts, they have quietly posted on their Sussex.com website because for whatever reason, the Archewell Fugazi Public Charity, now Archewell Fugazi Philanthropies website, is no longer containing any information. So from the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex on Sussex.com, this recent post that they put up gushing praise for this recent Jules law that got passed in the United Kingdom. On the surface, it's about giving bereaved parents access to deceased children's social media data without the corporate hurdles. But what this shows, and it's obvious, that they are clearly lockstep with the Labour government in driving the control of information and a surveillance state. Like, you can't hate these degenerate losers, otherwise known as the Epstein class, enough. I'm not denying that we have to protect the kids, but coming from the Sussexes, it's laced with their broader push to regulate rapidly developing AI technology and close the gap between laws and tech innovations with bad intentions. They have no business touching anything that has to do with children. In fact, none of these corrupted people in the Epstein class should be anywhere near vulnerable people. This isn't altruism. It's code for demanding government-mandated controls on content, algorithms, and speech under the pretext of protecting kids. What these two assholes and everybody who think like them want is tech companies forced to prioritize what they dictate as safety over everything else, which in practice means suppressing dissenting voices, curating narratives, and stifling open discourse. Harry and Meghan's Archewell Fugazi Defunct Foundation has funneled this through initiatives like the Lost Green Memorial and their exploitative Parents Network, where they parade tragic stories to guilt-trip policymakers into overreach. And don't even get me started on their hypocrisy. These are the same people who've built a brand on oversharing, dishing harmful lies on the royals in books, documentaries, interviews, and posting whoever's children online. Like that recent photo on Valentine's Day with Harry and some little girl that we're supposed to assume is little Betty. I mean, who knows whose child that belongs to? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go ahead and Google little Betty and Harry, and you'll see the photo that I'm talking about. I'm not going to fall for the trap that Meghan and Harry are laying here, because the last thing that I want to give them is the opportunity to say that, oh, look at these haters exploiting our children for profit. I don't give a shit about those two invisible children. I'm not falling for the trap that these two are setting, because ultimately, that's what they're trying to do to us. What I recognize is that Meghan needs us more than we need her. If we didn't talk about her, she would be an absolute nothing entity right now. Believe me, I would have stopped talking about these two a long time ago if it really was only the superficial nonsense that we keep getting from the media, as well as the propaganda that Harry and Meghan keep pushing out. But we all know it's not what it seems. And there is a deeper layer here that we've been talking about on this channel. Here these two are championing and supporting laws that will mandate data preservation and access with the mission and goal of eroding everyone's digital rights. This was never about kids. It has always been about control. Harry and Meghan's ties to censorship outfits like the Aspen Institute and the Center for Countering Digital Hate say it all. These are groups that push for silencing critics under the banner of combating online harm that they define. Always remember the harm that these people caused for silencing voices during COVID. Their fear was not people dying. Their fear was vaccine hesitancy, and all the money that they invested needed to see their return on investment. And it's all starting to come to light in the Epstein files, and the censorship was a part of it. It is no secret Harry and Meghan have been linked to efforts censoring Americans online during the Biden regime until those collusions got exposed. Now, they've quickly pivoted and exploiting child tragedies to drive similar legislation globally, turning grief into a tool for authoritarian oversight. And this is all happening in lockstep with the EU and the UK. Earlier this week, Keir Starmer talks about legislation that they're considering to protect our kids online. Here's what he had to say.
Social media has, for many of us, become part of our daily routine. And the companies showing us content have been left largely to invent their own rules. But laws to rein in its addictive power over children and help parents police phone use could be on the way this year.
I'm really clear the status quo, things as they are now, is not good enough. Nobody can make the argument that things can be left as they are. They can't, they're not protective of children, and we intend to act.
The government is considering a number of ways to try to keep children safe online. The options include banning under 16s from being able to go on social media. Australia did this last year, and now some European countries are thinking about doing it too. They could also restrict app functions that keep kids hooked on their phones, like not letting videos automatically play one after another for endless scrolling. And they could make it harder for kids to use software like a virtual private network to get around age limits. Teenagers listening to the Prime Minister's plans this morning weren't all convinced, though.
A complete ban is just not right. We should monitor the content that's being shown to young people and kind of censor the bad things out.
I find it very hard to discipline myself and say I should prioritize my studies, to be honest. Also, the ban on social media itself, it also forces platforms to have a duty of care.
There's many useful things to social media, like I use social media for my homework, like I wouldn't be able to get that done, and a lot of my peers think the same.
Mariano Janin's daughter Mia took her own life after being bullied at school and online. For him, another government consultation on what to do is not urgent enough.
I don't see the meaning of happiness or future in the same way like you or any normal person. Announcements are, convenient action. What we need is action with conviction.
Tech giants have previously said social media blanket bans cause more harm than safety. But this government now wants to save the generation they see as stuck on social media.
I think one of the blessings of Harry and Meghan is actually seeing behind the curtain on how propaganda works, as well as how biased the media is, and not to fall for it. In this case, ITV is very left-wing oriented, pushing liberal progressive ideologies. And in this case, ITV is pushing along the lines of being supportive of this censorship. So they're going to push pro-Starmer pieces where it's going to make it look like he's compassionate about children. But obviously, this is the push to pull on the heartstrings of the people who are not awake yet and falling prey to this manipulation in thinking that, yeah, social media is such a danger. We have this epidemic of kids who are unaliving themselves. And in this case, you have a father who lost his daughter. And I think the gross thing here is that it's being exploited. You know, it's sad that he lost his daughter to her unaliving herself because she was bullied, but let's remember that bullying existed before social media. You can't put all the blame onto social media without taking any sort of accountability. You as parents own that child, not the government. I don't see it any different to back in the day when parents would have to make the decision on what their children could watch on TV or what type of music they could listen to. What I think is more harmful in this day and age, more than social media, is the actual education system and the indoctrination around gender, race, instilling fear around the climate. Let's not pretend that these globalists, aka the Epstein class, has not generated a lot of anxiety in the youth around the world ending by pushing the climate scam. The Epstein class is too determined to see Agenda 2030 come true, hence the reason why they're driving forward so hard with these legislations and curbing speech. They don't want to hear about the failures about keeping the borders open or the failure of net zero or the failure of multiculturalism and diversity being a strength. None of these leaders want to hear how their policies have failed because their egos are too big. They don't want to accept that they made the wrong decisions, and rather than course correct and try to turn the ship around, they're doubling down. But in order for them to do it, they have to silence dissent. This is all about power and money, and they don't want to lose any of that. So they can't have people talking out of line and not lockstep in the direction that they're pushing everybody towards. That's why they hate free speech.
Because, free speech is a pure bullshit if nobody knows how you are guided through this so-called free speech, especially when it's to be guided from one hated speech to another hated speech. I just want to have a transparent road through these different speeches, and I want, by the way, to have a sort of public order. I want to avoid racist speech, hated speech, and so on.
Aber ich möchte Klarnamen im Internet sehen. Ich möchte wissen, wer da sich zu Wort meldet. Das sind doch häufig genug Leute, die im Schatten der Anonymität größtmögliche Transparenz von anderen fordern. Ich möchte, dass wir das auf gleicher Augenhöhe miteinander unternehmen. Wir stellen uns in der Politik auch mit Klarnamen und offenem Visier eine Auseinandersetzung in unserer Gesellschaft. Dann erwarte ich das auch von allen anderen, die sich kritisch mit unserem Land und unserer Gesellschaft auseinandersetzen.
So we see this ramping up of all of these bills being pushed everywhere to restrict age limits using children as the guise to prevent harm and blah, blah, blah. But really, it's doing exactly what was going on back in 2018, starting up again. You're going to see the same patterns in getting ready now for the 2028 election, because you know that these globalists desperately want a Democrat back into office. So all of this grift can kick back up again. The Epstein class is desperately trying to get the control back because they don't like that their dirty little secrets are coming out, especially when it comes to the children. What we see here with the UK government, they're moving full steam ahead with proposed measures to introduce photo scanning in messaging apps and other online services. And this is supposed to be protecting the children from sharing or receiving nude images. But do you really think that they're going to be enforcing that when half the population are pedophiles and already harboring this kind of material with children? Give me a break. This is all about protecting themselves. The key elements of this proposal that has been introduced includes expanding mandates to cover social media, messaging apps, photo sharing, gaming, and live streaming through age limits and verification systems, meaning you can't do anything online unless you submit photo ID, your information, so they know who is speaking out against the government. So they can come and arrest you, because this is where the UK is at right now. This is ultimately what Harry and his bitch wife want to see happen to people here in the US. Enter in Prince Harry's close friend from the House of Lords, Baroness Beban Kidron, the UK peer they thank for inspiring their work. She's from Five Rights Foundation, who is no innocent bystander either. She is the architect of the UK's age-appropriate design code, which forces online services to treat under 18s with heightened privacy rules, influencing redesigns that prioritize quote-unquote safety at the expense of freedom. Kidron's meddling doesn't stop at the pond in the UK. She is aggressively lobbying in the United States, and I've talked about this before. She's shaping bills like the Kids Online Safety Act, otherwise known as KOSA, which mirrors her UK framework and aims to ban algorithmic recommendations for minors, require age verification checks, and much more, just like what's happening in the UK. This woman from the House of Lords testified before our Congress and pushed her Five Rights Foundation's agenda, and even sparked state-level laws in California and other states that are currently now putting these age verification laws into place. As a British baroness with no elected mandate here, she has zero business dictating American policy. Yet, she's been hailed as the force behind our tech laws for kids. Why are we allowing this? Patriots like myself have questioned if her group's activities violate foreign agent laws, which I believe that they do. This is neo-colonialism in digital form. UK Epstein class elites like Kidron exporting censorship models to the US with Harry and Meghan as their celebrity mouthpieces. Like, that should not be ignored. This blurb that Harry and Meghan put up on their Sussex.com website is wrapped in this word salad, flowery language about Ellen Rome's persistence and how one parent can change everything. But it's a smokescreen. We can't get fooled by this. Harry and Meghan, as well as the UK government under Starmer, are just hijacking it to bolster their brand as global saviors while pushing an agenda that will chill speech. It will remove anonymity, and it will empower governments over individuals. We're seeing this happen in real time. If Harry and Meghan truly cared about child safety, then they would lead by example by not putting up whoever's children up on Meghan's Instagram account. You got to understand, Harry and Meghan don't care if they are telling lies to the world. They don't. Because if you notice, the pattern with the Epstein class is that they will lie to anybody to get what they want and to maintain power. Remember, these people feel that they are truly above the law and nothing is going to happen to them. So they're going to tell whatever lie that they need to tell to protect themselves. And when we look at Hillary and Bill Clinton, they're supposed to be testifying before Congress on Friday, I think in a closed hearing. Don't think that Hillary Clinton is not going to lie her face off, because that's all she does. We've already seen a preview of those lies coming up.
Do you regret the links that there have been? You know, we have no links. We have a very clear record that we've been willing to talk about, which my husband has said. He took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work. I don't recall ever meeting him.
Did you ever meet Ghislaine Maxwell?
I did on a few occasions, and thousands of people go to the Clinton Global Initiative. So it to me is not something that is really at the heart of what this matter is about.
It's going to be the same for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry when the day comes that they are going to be held accountable. Does anybody really believe that Meghan Markle is all of a sudden going to start telling the truth? Just like the Clintons, they're going to have their manipulative narrative ready. If Meghan had the balls to lie in a UK court, don't think that she won't do it here in the US. The girl really thinks she's untouchable, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Hopefully soon. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Are these people getting on your nerves? I mean, can you look at them the same way ever again? I know I can't. Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Such a fraud.